Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, To My Girls. I've been trying to get on here and talking, but I've been so busy and things have been crazy. But I have some time. I'm waiting for my daughter to get out of her art camp. And it's perfect because I've been thinking about having a discussion more about mental health. I feel like it's super important. I feel like I stand for it. If I literally wasn't going another route in my career, I probably would go into psychology because it's so needed and I love it. And I just have a very strong respect for people who help others with surviving. After my crazy, year, I feel like mental health for me, sorry, I keep switching up the camera shots. Mental health for me is something that is incredibly important. I feel like, here's the picture, all right? If we don't, as children, if we have these situations or we have these life experiences or if we have these traumas and you don't, as a child, teenager, younger than a teenager, early adult, if you don't get that treated slowly, obviously, sometimes it takes longer for others. If you don't get that treated, as you mature, you spread all of that negative and exhausting and overwhelming and angry and very unhealthy lifestyle to your friends, your family, in your relationship, your children. All of that is spread. And I feel like as we wake up and we watch the news, and any more of the news, the news is insane now. I don't even watch the news anymore. My dad always yelled at me. We watch this stuff, and literally, how many people are mentally unstable and acting out on it? It could be mental health in killing someone, and they're losing their mind, they're killing people. People with children, you're overwhelmed, can't take it, you hurt your kid. Accidentally, not accidentally, a little bit of both, whatever. It happens. Children are being ignorant and bullying and crazy, and you want to retaliate, or retaliation towards anything. All of this is affected by mental health. And it's crazy to me how it's just like, I can't even remember the first, I'm trying to and I can't think of it, the first legit school shooting. I want to say I was a teenager. And how it is today. How many have I lived through? Club shootings, it's freaking scary, and it's just unnecessary. We should not have all of these people mentally unstable. However, at the same time, adults who are mentally unstable either don't think that they need help, they feel better, they think that they're okay, or they fight through it, or they're so mentally unstable they're not realizing they're mentally unstable. And you can't change someone's feelings if they don't want to accept something. So it's harder than getting children help. Large amounts of teens to adults do drugs when they're mentally unstable. A lot of people do drugs because of anxiety and depression. A lot of people do drugs because of rape. A lot of people do drugs to get away from just their life and the traumas, rape included. And I mean, why aren't we understanding that and getting that? Mental health is so touchy and hard. But I feel like us as adults now in life that lived through mental health being way worse than what it was when we were younger, we need to step it up and do what we need to do for our children. Like, and talk about it. I don't know where the shame came from. I'm pretty sure the shame came from the generations that were like my parents and my grandparents' generations, where like it's embarrassing to talk about stuff. Keep it to your family. Keep it to, like, no. I don't want to. I'm going to talk about what I went through. I'm going to tell everybody. If I'm at a birthday party and moms talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. If I'm at a freaking anniversary party, a wedding, funeral, I'll talk about whatever I've been through. I don't even care. And I will try to help as many people as I can who have not gone through it yet, or kind of going through it, or not really admitting that they're going through it, but they're kind of listening and asking questions. We need to start doing that more. Hello. Mental health with children. So if we have these children who are, showing more anxiety, showing more worries, they're going through a lot of stuff, have been through early, like death of early people, you need to actually pay attention to your kids. And it's funny because so much of this new generation gives no shits about anybody and trying to like focus on anything besides a phone. It's kind of pathetic. And, so start paying attention to your kids. And if they're starting to get like antsy, if they're starting to get angry, if they're starting to read through what they're talking about. Do they have hormones going on? Do they have something going on in their stress with their friends? Talk about stuff. Inform them. Let them try to like have conversations with you. I always never listened. I always was talking too much. I realized that I needed to start doing that with my daughter, who's 10 now. I mean, we just have to put our big boy pants on. We wanted to be parents. We chose to be parents. Act like a damn parent. Act like a parent. And it's just like we complain, but like, number one, every single child is different. Every single one. So what I do with my first, I can't do with my other two. I can try. Maybe they'll listen. Maybe they'll follow the little duckling, but maybe they won't. Doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean that they're, oh my God, they're ADHD. Oh my God, they're crazy. You need to start focusing on each child, what they need, and how to rear them. Because I feel like we're all failing at times for certain things. And you need to not be mad about it. You need to not like go into a ditch and, talk about everybody else. You need to just like face it. See what you need to do for your children. Read books, like talk, write, do stuff. If they have mental health things, initiate it. Be an adult, be a parent. It's crazy to me. And then everyone thinks everyone's kid's perfect. No one's kids are perfect. They're growing little children that have hormones that make them energetic at times, running around like a Tasmanian devil at times. I wanted to say Tarzan. The older kids with their hormones, oh my gosh. I mean, it's very, very hard. But again, we chose to be parents. They were just brought into the world. So we need to stop being whiny, annoying, negative Nancys and start being there for our kids. I think it's funny how and don't get me wrong, I talk about my kids on and off too, if we've had bad days, if we'd had happy days. I don't have favorites. I honestly never really believed in that. I felt like that's kind of BS. Each kid has their own strengths and their weaknesses, and I just vibe on that. I also think so for like mental health for children. Read books to make yourself more comfortable. Maybe you're not comfortable with it, and that's fine. Maybe you don't know a whole lot of information, and that's fine. None of us know information unless you're like, psychiatrist. My therapist actually is like a grandma, and she has children, and she worked with women, and she educated them on certain aspects, especially like postpartum depression. And I love her because she just has this like whole big brain full of information on everything, and it helps me out a lot. Even if I tell myself the same thing, her telling me that I am like right with feeling this or thinking that, or it's okay, it validates and makes me feel better. If she tells me something that my husband told me, he might say, excuse my leg, he might say, oh my God, I said that too. Her saying that is completely different. There's a validation. There's like, you don't know me, you don't know what I've went through. This is what I'm going through right now. What do you think about it? What do you think I should do? And it's interesting because, again, it could be things that you've thought about, that you had ideas about, and her just giving you that information validates like, oh, you're right. Take a deep breath, focus on you, try to be the best person you can be. All that stuff's good for us as adults. Think about what they can do for kids. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel like it's so it can be hard depending on the therapist. You have to kind of, which sucks, you have to find a good therapist for your own child. Each child is different. So like my daughter had a therapist who I thought was working with her pretty well. My daughter has anxiety, a lot of anxiety. And then as kind of COVID hit, I think it got worse. And then my dad passed away, which I was kind of a train wreck, and she always hung out with him. And I feel like there was just so much going on. And then after that, after my dad passed, I had emergency surgery and I could have died. And she had to, I don't think she was actually told that specifically, but she had a lot of anxiety. And the same thing I tell everybody. For my children, I want them to have the best and easiest life I can give them. Not perfect, not luxurious, just the best, happiest, easiest life I could give them. If that means putting her on medications, if that means certain things with school, if that means going to therapy 3 times a week, 5 times a week, whatever my child needs to have that easiest life possible, to be happy, I will do. And it's kind of like everyone, you hear everybody saying, or you hear everyone saying like, oh, I will give my life, I will do this, I will do that. Okay, that's fine, but like we don't need that right now. We need you to be an adult and put your child first, which means mental health. And then in the same sense, you can't be a good parent if your mental health is not getting treated. It is so hard to raise children with perfect environment, perfect relationships, perfect age, career. It is so hard raising them just perfect, situational. It's hard. So without good mental health and emotional health, physical health, it's so much harder. Because we as parents cannot handle some things as easy, or we get stressed out too easily, or you have like bipolar or schizophrenia or depression, or you're manic or anything. I mean, it's hard. It's hard being without any mental state issues in a perfect world. So with that not being treated, there goes my hair again. With that not being treated, it's just not fair. It's not fair to our children. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to everyone around us. So I feel like mental health, we truly need do the first step, call someone, look up therapists online. I want to say like Psychology Today or psychology.com, or I can attach some things, but like look it up, just look and see. Just anything is better than where you are if you're struggling right now. If you're snapping on your kids, if you're snapping on your spouse, if you're realizing you can't do it every day, it's hard, you're crying, you're mad, like those are all signs that our body needs help. And we can't parent if we're not taking care of ourselves. You can't be a good daughter. You can't be a good wife. You can't be a good mom. You can't be a good anything in your career if you're not focused and you're not doing the best you can for yourself. It's just not fair for you or anybody else. Children literally are like, we always say they're like sponges, but like they're sponges when they're babies. They also develop thinking and feeling too much, which our anxiety can also be sucked in. As they're teenagers, I want to say they go from like sponges through toddlers, sponges, through older kids to teens. They're clay. It's clay. And as they harden and as they form, there can be breaks and there can be damage. And if you don't fix that, they're going to harden and be broken. And that's so unfair. Like, we don't deserve that. Whatever we went through, we didn't deserve that. If we were broken and we were hurt and we weren't fully formed into these perfect little statues, we didn't deserve that. There's so much more in medicine now and in psychology. Maybe there's not enough resources. Maybe. However, if you just do that first step, I feel like that's needed. Because as our kids are older and they mold and form, and as they turn into these little statues that are broken or cracked or messy, everything that life throws them, that's how they're going to have to deal with it and live with it and develop as adults. Which, if you think about it, how fair is that if we don't do all we can in order to make sure that they're okay as adults, so they don't end up suffering or struggling? And if they do, they have support. They know what's going on. We know we have their backs. And I feel like we need to start doing that more. Mental health is so put on the back burner. Things aren't going to change and things aren't going to get better if you don't fix and correct and do what you got to do for mental health. Whether that's yourself, for your family, for your child, the whole circle. If you keep putting mental health on the back burner, on the shelf, it's going to stay there. And it's going to sit in the sun and it's going to steam and it's going to crumble. And then we're going to regret it. And no one wants to regret in life. We have one life. What's the point of doing what's the point of having regret if we have one life? We just gotta do it right the first time. And if we don't, keep trying. Keep having those chances. Life's about taking chances and change. And change is really freaking hard. Really hard in some cases. But it's what we have to do. It's what we have to do for ourselves. It's what we have to do for our children. It's what we have to do. It's what we have to do. So, if you're one of those people that are so against mental health, you need to change that. If you're someone who needs help, Google, look around, reach out. We have it at our fingertips. And if you're someone who's doing it and changing and getting better and feel like, oh my God, it's still a stigma, you're right, it is. I don't know why. And I'd rather be in a better place mentally, emotionally, than being stuck in a place where I'm suffocating and I feel like I'm crumbling and I feel like the world is against me and I'm in such a negative, mood and mad, it's so much better in this new little side of life. And I just wish people would just try. 5 times I would say try. Try to do the best you can. Try to get that help. Try to talk to at least 2 people. And once you find that person and you can just bleh it all out, it's so worth it. Because this life is already as heavy as it is without us thinking too much. And trust me, we can think for days because of how our brains are and what our experiences are and how life is. And it's just so worth it getting mental health help. So I'll attach some things and look for feedback and follow up. Have a good day.